grow as a grower? Are you tired of being put to sleep by your educational growcasts? Are you tired of hearing about products you don't fucking want and can't afford? Hi, I'm Johnny Apple, and joining me is everyone's favorite amphibian, the Reverend Pirate Frog. Join us as we sift through the bullshit on the internet and try to get better as growers. This is your average grow.
Johnny, what were you saying?
I think he said Alexa smoking fan off. I love
know
that, man.
right?
I just fucking love the fact that you keep it your fans on Alexa, so you can just hands free.
I think we should totally not introduce this show and talk more about Johnny's fan for the next. I got an hour and 30 to kill. What about you guys?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, clearly he's got that entire garage set up.
Well, if he could turn on his fan, what's amazing is he has the technology to turn his fan on and off from sitting, but not muting. He cannot mute from where he's sitting.
I haven't figured out the keyboard button for the mute in here yet. If somebody knows it, let me see. What does this say? Oh,
this is absolutely terrible.
You know what you should do is eat a big old
There you go. Welcome to the circle, my friends. I'm going to introduce all these talking heads shortly. If you're watching the video, I apologize, but you can see what I deal with. Welcome to the circle. I'm Rev. I'm the least important. We'll start with the second least important. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm here, boys. What's up?
Excellent. And the third least important, Stoney.
Good evening. Good evening.
Excellent. And the fourth least important, so the least important. How are you doing, Howling?
Woohoo! I'm a winner.
There you go. You win everything.
Clockwise
today.
winner. Clockwise winner.
Damn, I forgot. If they can see video, they're going to see the rhyme and reason why I pick people, so it'll no longer... Fuck.
Well, I mean, no one really watches us, so...
I'd hope not. How's everyone doing? I'm super excited for this circle. I'm in a tremendous amount of pain, so I'm a little loopy. Johnny looks like he's exhausted. I imagine he's going to be a little loopy.
Yeah, we got this. We got this. So I'm I'm smoking on this strawberry milk and cookies, which, by the way, the terps have changed on. So
okay.
That's
it's not
now when I opened the jar today, it wasn't, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
But as it's been in the jar for a couple weeks now, I'm starting to get that more creamy, fruity smell coming through. It's like, okay, when I first smelled it today, I was like, that's a fucking weird. I've never smelled cream, like a creamy fucking terp. It just
I was gonna say
cheese.
Yeah,
right. It's not cheese. It's just like sweet dairy cream, right? It does kind of throw your head for a loop, man. It's like, yeah. Did you are the strawberries on that? Are they turning into the sort of jammy sweet, or are they still because?
Kind of like that's what. So they've always been there, but they've always been at the back end. They're so hard to like. It's just that. I don't know. It's like when you're eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is more important, the peanut butter or the strawberry jelly? Which, by the way, is the only way to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you put
peanut butter
grape
is
jelly, I mean, yeah.
What was it? Strawberry was your. I'll get down.
We can do this. We could do this. Should
no.
PB and J have fucking grape jelly? No, it should not. It should always have strawberry, and it should be strawberry jam. Grape jelly is the fucking worst.
Johnny, as your friend, I will always take your side. I'm not a jelly person, though. May I suggest peanut butter and honey? That shit is fucking delicious.
Those are good.
I think, so based on the Uncrustables principle, because there is a patent, they patented that sandwich first. There is a true process to making it. It's all about having the jelly on both sides of the bread before they're cinched together, so that it seals off the peanut butter. So I think that changes the whole ratio of peanut butter to jelly. But I've got some people that are pretty close to me that are true aficionados of peanut butter and jelly. So
you can tell we just all got fucking high and started the show. We just jumped right into the fucking.
We went straight to Uncrustables somehow, somewhere.
Unfortunately, Megan is currently not here because I just texted her peanut butter and honey. And she wanted... No,
that's a sound dinner. I had nachos.
Oh, fantastic. But this show isn't about food. I know we often talk about it,
We'll
and
get there.
we have literally one of the most talented chefs I've personally ever
Get
met
outta here.
on. But that was Johnny. How dare you?
Thank
I
you,
know.
Joe.
Come on.
Thank you, U.S.
Johnny's the
Armory Uncle
cook.
Sam.
Yeah,
You really
yeah.
did teach me all the fucking
Yeah.
tricks and tricks.
No, we have one of the most intellectual chefs, and then we have Uncle Sam's cook. Both probably my favorites equally. But this is a growing podcast occasionally. I've harvested, Johnny, we've talked about yours recently, and I do want to get into it more. But Howling has a ton of shit going on, and Stoney equally has a ton of shit going on. So why don't you two ram Rochambeau and figure out who goes?
Alder, you're first. Boom.
Oh,
Tag.
fuck.
Boom.
All right. Yeah, everything's firing on all cylinders right now. I got myself in way over my head with multiple things. The 4x4 just got flipped. It was a very, very dumb idea to do 4 plants, but we're going to rock it and see what it turns out to be. Hopefully they start, instead of spreading out, they start growing upwards, and that would be fine.
And you just flipped, right?
Yeah, it's the first time trying the 16-8. So I'm playing around with something to try to get them not to stretch. It's just guesses at this point. But I figured I'll try the 16-8 for a week and then move to 12-12.
How is that not going to make them stretch?
That with changing the light intensities can cause not as dressed. Yeah, I'll increase the intensity with it. Like some people, they'll flip and they will just keep the intensity the same. If they're like a 50% on the dimmer or whatever it is, that they keep it at that. Now, like if you're at 100%, doesn't do anything. But if you were at 50%, you cut it down to 12 hours, your DLI goes down. And so they're striving to get more. So that with increasing the intensity, I think something I was reading, it's like it doesn't activate like the stuff that makes the plant stretch. And I don't know what causes that process. But when they start stretching, if you don't make such a drastic change to 12-12, they're not as shocked by it and then start doing the stretch even quicker. It's like it's a gradual thing. So it kind of doesn't stretch as much, and it's not like all of a sudden this like week and a half of explosive growth. It's a slower stretch over time, and you don't get as much of it. So I'm hoping that's what'll happen. I have no fucking idea. I have gotten myself in trouble every bit this time around, so why not?
What's the risk? What are you risking?
Nothing really at this point. The tent's going to be what it's going to be. So I didn't plan on the plants getting this big. I transplanted. I usually like to wait like a week, but during that week, they didn't handle the new light that I have in there too well. And so it was acting all sorts of goofy. And I didn't want to like flip when it was so low. So I was like gradually increasing it and then backing it back and then increasing it. Just the plant was at times showing it wasn't happy. So yeah, I waited a little longer than I should have. And so, which is still actually surprisingly shorter than any other photo I've ever grown through veg. Like I flipped on day 40. I usually flip on like day 63. So like this is something happened. I don't know what, but some reason all 5 plants that I started came to life real quick. You would almost think like they're fucking autoflowers or something with the way that they were rapidly growing. So I don't know. Hopefully I repeat it again. I'm going to see if some of that knowledge of getting them so big in the solo cups will translate to what I got going on in my veg tent, which is a bunch of solo grows. There was it started as like an Instagram thing with like a grow together for solo cups. And I was like, well, I got no other grow together going on right now. So decided to join that. It'll be the first time. So if I can duplicate success, maybe I'll make some big solo cup plants.
There you go.
For me, it'll be a stash for a year anyway. So
yeah, I was super stoked that you were doing solo cups, and I'm really glad that you joined a competition that I was barred from entry in. Really nice thing to do.
You have too much experience doing that.
I say you've been doing solo cups forever, as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, don't bother talking to me at all, and maybe want me to be involved. No, I'm just kidding. I'm fucking garbage at it. I just do it for fun. So I'm really excited to watch everybody do it, because I think it's a ton of fun if you have the seeds to burn, right?
Well, that's
If you're worrying about every single cent you spend and you're trying to maximize your yield, you're wasting your goddamn time, because well, first you're wasting your time if you listen to anything I ever say. I don't grow the way to maximize anything. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm really excited to watch you guys do all these solo cups, especially in I forget the name of is it Marina? Who's hosting it?
That sounds familiar. I think that's
Yeah. Good. Well, we're well prepared with all the deets. Fucking couldn't say well prepared for some reason. Jesus Christ. Well, awesome, man. So you've got all the solos. Do you want to run down what you've planted?
Oh, geez. So I did.
Off the top.
Yeah, right off the
sheer
top.
fact that he remembers all of it.
Oh, well, see, a Dosido, which is from an untested seed pack that I bought cheaply and thinking I was getting the hot shit, and it really isn't. They're like testers, like not part of the release line and stuff, and a pheno that wasn't the one that is the famed Dosido, I think. So Dosido, some bloom strawberry that I had that it was a shitload of feminized seeds. Like I open up the pack and I'm thinking, or I'm going through my packs to figure out what to plant, and I'm like, well, I haven't planted this yet. And I was just looking at it, I'm like, oh, it's 12 feminized seeds in here. Like,
oh shit.
I don't think I've ever bought a photo pack like that. So I was like, all right, I'll pop one in solo. So that, and I think I did shit. I don't remember what the other photo is. Anyways, so then there's Days Sobrana, there is Forgetful Wedding, Odin's Sons, and Cherry Gangbang. So nice. I'm gonna run all those. Like they're all ones that I want to try, and it's like I don't know when I'm gonna get to some of those in a tent. So it's like,
hell yeah, dude.
So we'll see if I kill them or not. I'm gonna try I'm gonna try feeding them weekly with Roots Organic, and which is just like some fermented plant food. And then otherwise water with the Trader Grow, and we'll see.
Do you have? Oh, I was going to give you advice. If you get into like you're worried about needing to feed them more, build a bloom late, or like build a bloom when they start getting into flower. Really helps out a lot.
Okay. Oh, I'm sure I'll be tossing so much shit at them, but you'll see like all my posts that I do on Discord and stuff. There's a plant that I haven't been showing off, and you haven't picked up onto it.
What is? Oh, is it Peach Limon?
Yeah, she's.
I have picked up on it. I just didn't want to be an asshole and ask you where it is, because I was like, maybe he killed it and it's a sore subject, you know?
No. It's living. It's just it's not unhappy. It's not like thriving and growing big like the other ones. It kind of like once I transplanted it, it just stopped. It's just like, and I think I'm starting to see it pick up growth right now, but it didn't handle the transplant whatsoever. I don't know what I did. It didn't go into a bed. It went into a New Moon 9-gallon thing I have. And I don't know. It's just, I gave it a little cocktail this morning and she started perking up a little bit. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to play around with her. She's not like showing any deficiencies or anything. It's like a fucking stunted auto. It just stops. It's like, what the fuck did I did? I don't know what I did.
How long since transplant?
Has it been? I want to say it's been like 8 or 9 days.
Okay.
So I mean, it's still in a window of just being a little shocked or something.
It could just be unfurling its roots and stretching out and finding new root. You know, it could be doing a lot of growing beneath.
That's what I'm hoping, and that's what I think. I think I started seeing a little uptick in growth. So, and I think she's drinking a little quicker. That's another thing. I used the moisture meters, and I knew that she wasn't drinking, and as nearly as quick. These fucking beds are going through. I'm gonna have to upgrade my 13-gallon res to one of the 55-gallon brute garbage cans. They are sucking down water like crazy, and I have 2 beds connected right now, and I might have a third soon. So it's just I need to upgrade. But anyways, the peach limon. It's I'm hoping I can turn it around. I'm sure I will. That's the beauty of this, is I just give it some time and let her work out her shit. And I'm not in a hurry. She's in her own tent, not taking up space. So, well, fuck it. I put her on some gentle light and let her work it out. And I'll start probably increasing the light intensity if I see her sprouting.
You know what would be an interesting scientific experiment, and this is purely scientific, Howling, about lights and shit. You should get some of the Mexican landrace from before the cross of Peach Limon, and you need to grow a tent full of that.
I saw that and I'm like, why didn't I even think about the original, like the one parent? And I'm like, shit. And I'm like, well, whatever. Especially since it looks like I'm getting the broader side of this plant. And I mean, it's a Mexican landrace, supposed to be sativa leaning or narrow leaf leaning. It's not. It's not. It had like the biggest, broadest leaves in the tent for the longest time. It is not. So she is definitely showing her, I think it's saga cane is the male. And yeah, showing the broadleaf side. Which it makes sense, because some of my most finicky plants with shit has been broadleaf plants. They are little bitches. They don't handle it well. That's why like Tangy, you can abuse the shit out of her. It's like, well, look at her. I mean, she's narrow leaf and they take the shit. These short squat girls, they just, I don't know.
Dude, I saw this picture of this Tangy today that was bent like a fucking double S shaped. It was wild.
Oh my.
That was mine.
It was crazy.
It was an accident. I told you I broke it.
Yeah, but I didn't know that it had one recovered and decided to flare out in such a sweet way. It literally looks like a drain.
It literally was broken. It broke all the way down. It was broken like to the point where it was snapped and bent over, but the membrane on the side that was holding it up just held it up, and it held it from falling, and she just kept growing. She's got a hard knuckle there now, and she turned herself back up and just kept right on growing. And so did everyone down around her. Hell no.
It just grew right. That's so.
Yeah, it's like, so I was bending it to try and bend it down so that the lowers could come to get up anyways. So it was just like, whatever. I want to slow it down. If it fucking lives, cool. If it doesn't, then well, I didn't lose nothing.
Right.
Because maybe I lost a week or whatever with trying to fill up a tent, which I probably wouldn't even have. I don't think it would have slowed me down at all. But I just let it go. I was like, yeah, she'll heal, because I came in the next day and she was still trying to go. Like I would try and fold her back up so she could like go like this. And I'd come in the next day and she was laying down. I was like, you just want to fucking be there. So take it. And then my other ones, I didn't break them, but you could see they fought it way harder. So their mane did like a whole gooseneck thing, because I bend them over as hard as I could, but it never snapped and broke. So the bending was easier to recover from. They just pushed themselves back up the next fucking day every day. It was like, God damn you, man. So that you could see like a progression of getting that bent over enough for the lowers to come up. But they're all in that tent that needs a new fucking light, man. I am sure of it, because they're just long, really skinny stemmed already. And I've got the light lowered. So
what do you think is going on with the light? Is it like just the diodes?
I think it's just old. Yeah, I think it's just old and they're burning up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, I've had it for going on 4 years probably. So
I mean, constant daily usage of it.
100%. That light has never been off. I've always had that 4x4 going for the most part, I think. Yeah. So
it's not too bad. Time to get another, like we talked about it, get another one. Either you pay for it or you get a cheap Chinese one. The choice is yours.
Yeah.
I like going with the fucking the Vipar Spectras.
Mm-hmm.
I get the 100 watts. And then I put 3 of them in the back of a 4x4 and 3 of them in the front of the 4x4 and then 3 of them in a 2x4. And it spreads the light out beautifully. And it gets enough fucking heat to that tent to really crank up with LEDs and get the heat up so I can get my humidity up. Something I've really been fucking playing with is really cranking the heat, because I run my lights at the top of my tent. I got them fucking zip tied up there I got barely any room, and then I've got just enough room for like a hurricane fan to push that hot air down to the bottom. So I got like fans circulating that hot air through, but I'm not seeing anywhere near that kind of temp with this other thing. It's the bar style light.
They don't throw off a whole lot of heat.
Not really, no.
They're pretty good.
Plus, it's only got the one driver in it, whereas the other one's got 6 fucking drivers inside the tent.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that sucks is I do have to run a fucking big because all my tents are in one space, and I'm feeling it now. Like, yeah, it's fucking 90 in the 4x4 right here.
I was gonna say, it's got to get really hot.
Yeah,
fucking sauna. However, you also like narrow leaf leaning genetics and medicine, so you can specialize in getting some real happy fucking narrow leaf plants in that shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. None of them look bad at all. And I actually, Hella Jelly is big enough now. She's got enough leaf structure. I'm not even filling the humidifier in there. And then the other Tangies, I actually defoliated because it was getting so much humidity. I haven't filled my humidifiers now because there's so much leaf structure and it's good temp and they're narrow, so they like it. Yeah. All right, fuck it. Whatever.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Works.
What about you, Stoney?
What? You know, before we go on, man, it's one of the things that I just was remarkable in the last bits of conversation is just how much intuition and how intuitive of a grower you actually are, Howler. Like, you know, it's one of the things that I marvel at is just being a beginner and growing autoflowers and just starting to step into photos, hearing you guys and how much you've kind of the information and how intuitive you are, like saying, oh, this is 45 days or this normally was 60 days. There was something that caused you to flip that. You're looking for certain traits. That's not something that I've learned, right? Because I think I realized as we were talking how proactive I always am with autoflowers. I set the stage and let the thing do what it needs to. And it's probably one of the things I'm most, I don't know if nervous is the right word for it, but one of the things that I know stepping into photo periods where on one hand it's like, oh, glad to hear that these things can take so much abuse and keep on growing and go through all these conditions that, you know, an autoflower would probably have given up on, right? And then hearing how much, you know, you're just intuition for your plants, when to feed them, how much taking all that data in is just very different from autoflowers. So I look at you know,
there's like a flip side to it though. Like it's with like the autoflowers though, yes, it absolutely sucks when you stunt one because then you got to make some hard choices, but it also can be a little freeing that, you know, if you stick out any plant you plant, like that's what it's going to be. And you're going to try to guide it the right way. But like with the peach limon, it's now I'm extending veg out. Now I'm worrying about what did I do and what can I do to correct it? Where like with an autoflower, you're kind of, if it happens and that sucks, there's not a whole lot you're doing about it. And you're going to ride her out until what she's going to be. That's yeah, that takes away some anxiety.
True, I see that. But I think you guys just have, I guess what I was really trying to point out is that I really respect the intuition that you guys have for growing. That's taken this amount of time. It may be more.
Take the compliment, jackass.
Yeah.
No, it's neuroticism. That's what
no matter what it is, dude. It is an intuition. Like you're using data to drive your intuition. You're making decisions. You're using your intuition based on your experience, on the data that you're seeing in front of you. You are researching constantly. You're looking for traits within the plant. Johnny, you have plants in various different stages and moms and battling conditions at all times, and you just keep this even keel, and it's never really that much of an issue because fuck it, we'll just move on and I'll fix it or not. And even
that's,
you know,
I mean,
like,
kind of that's the way it should be. Like your first grow should be stressful, right? Because you're trying to get your fucking jars stashed. After you've got some fucking medicine in jars, man, then just it shouldn't be stressful after that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at 2 years and fairly confident around autoflowers, but every single batch I do, there's always misgivings that I catch, but it's always like, oh, next round I won't do it. Whereas with you guys just kind of pivoted off.
It really did. It really did.
Cycles.
It really did. It took me a while to get to a point where I really wasn't beating myself up over the fucking growing. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
it went wrong, okay, I can't beat myself up because I didn't fucking know. Right? I didn't know, so I can't get frustrated and try to fucking quit. It's like, all right, well, what did I learn? Put it in the fucking bank, man. That's the only thing I can do is just every grow, just put it in the fucking bank. If
Well, then you do a
don't,
great
I
job
mean,
of cycling through different grows too. So, you know, it's like we may hear one week and some of these conversations about a tent that caught on fire or, you know, hasn't had a light or anything like that. But you've got 2 other grows going on around, you know, you're helping out your pops and you've got other tents and that sort of stuff that are in varying different conditions. Like you guys are always constantly monitoring. Like I'm on one cycle. When all the flowers hit, you know, the closest I think I ever came was running the perpetual garden, which I got to do that for like a good, I think it was like six months. I did it 6-7 months. That was probably the closest to intuition because there were plants at 3 to 4 different stages at any given time. And so that was the closest that I felt like I had to be in, like understanding where plants were. But a lot of it was just memory and dates and that sort of stuff that I could keep tracking. So what I'm striving for, what I'm really trying to step up to this next round of, you know, photo periods, I think learning on autoflowers, and I'll maintain this, is a good way to start. I'm not saying it's the right way or the only way or it's the way to do it. I think it is a good path to start to get an understanding of how quick the flowers do their job, and you can see rapid cycles as that sort of data input. But
the only problem I have with it being a beginner thing is you do not recognize as a beginner when it's gone into flower.
Agreed. But it's because you can follow that. You're absolutely right. Because you can follow it. I mean, you've got like a 2-week window where it's prescribed that it's going to be within. But because that happens so consistently, I, as the grower, that young grower, you're absolutely right. Just lean into that. There's not really an intuition of when, and there's not really a consequence. Like there's not a risk to it, you know, that flipping, because if you flip too early, you then run that risk later on of worms and, you know, a loss in quality because you made a decision that was maybe a week or 2 early. Where with autos, it's just going to fucking do it. You've got that 2-week window. If you miss it, you miss it.
Right.
I
does
want to
take the
make a
need for
quick
that
point though. Before we move too far on, I wanted to compliment Johnny. Johnny has like one of my favorite gardens because he has so much different shit going on, and that's always been the case. He's one of my favorite growers of all time. If that isn't obvious, then you know you haven't been listening. But he's totally wrong about the flowering. I think you probably find out pretty quickly when something's in flower, maybe too soon, often with autos.
See,
right? Because if
I
you're
feel
hovering over a
that as
plant,
I've grown, as I've fucking grown over the years, I think I recognize it more often now because I can fucking see. I was like, oh,
intuition.
Fuck. You see it. You just see it. Whereas, I don't know I didn't really recognize it. I was just like, oh, this plant's really, I'm doing good now. It's going through the fuck, man.
Okay, yeah,
it is
I could
in
see that.
flower.
Yeah.
And by then it's been in flower for a
yeah.
week. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think you don't really recognize
when you
it.
notice it.
Like,
Yeah. I get you. I will take back my point. You're a shitty grower and you're right. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's where I was agreeing with you, dude, is like, there is a lack of that. And that's something that maybe the better word is like, you know, I've got some anxiety around not being intuitive enough to be a photo period grower. Right.
Well,
because it's something that I know I'm going to need.
I don't think so.
See, now you've got it though. So with photos, you're going to know when she's in flower because you flipped her. So that point I was making was relatively moot, and because you are going to know.
Yeah.
When you're in photos, because it didn't matter so much. You might not have recognized it with the autos, but with flowers, there's nothing to really worry about because you know when she went into flower. Now you're going to see the different stages. You're going to see that fucking stretch happen after 4 or 5 days. You're going to go, oh, wow, that got big quick. And then it's going to be fucking twice the size in 3 weeks. So you're going to see it progress. You're going to look at the nodes and see you're going to see the Guy Fieri happen.
Right.
Over 3 weeks.
I am curious though, because you said that you want to get more confident as a photo grower. And I don't remember everybody off the top of my head, but Johnny, your first plant was a photo, right?
Mm-hmm.
My first plant was a photo. Howling, your first plant was a photo, right? No, it was an auto.
No, it was both.
Oh, you did them at the same time.
Oh,
But-
yeah, I was dumb.
Okay, yeah.
Fuck around and
Well,
find out. Howling style.
Give me 15
He started
minutes to talk
data
about how
collection
that's-
early upon.
I was gonna say that's way too cool and so very much Howling. Fuck you, I can't decide. I'm doing them both. But Stoney,
Fucking-
your first one was an auto, right?
Autos, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if that has something to play with, because in my opinion, having my first seed being a photo, autos are harder.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
So I know that I started with the easier path, where it's weird to me that you started with the harder path and you feel less confident with what I consider to be the easier. Now, it's not always the easiest to do in your situation.
Yeah.
But it is, I think, generally easier to grow photos. I think we would agree.
No, good point. And I did a ton of research and made that conscious decision. And I made it on a couple points, and they were really because of the attributes of autoflowers, because I didn't have that confidence and trust. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have the resources to get going. I didn't even really understand. I didn't know where Discord really was. I didn't really know that more than a couple podcasts when I was getting, or like video that I was watching on YouTube. I didn't feel that I had confidence to like have someone be able to point or guide me in any sort of direction. When I started listening to podcasts, and then I was like, oh my gosh, it's like so over the top. And then I kind of found the autoflower community and was like, okay. But at the time I was doing a lot of R&D work. And so it seemed like a really good scientific process and rapid learning process for me, and that it was going to happen and I could just observe it happening. And so my initial process was like, okay, I want to get started in something where I can learn rapidly about how to grow soil, how to work in soil, how make sure my lights and everything is all dialed, and environmentals and all these sorts of things that I was learning all the stuff about. And just like, okay, I'm going to have to put this in practice, but I don't have anyone that's going to tell me how to do this. Right. And so I just felt like autoflowers were a good decision for me, because I was going to sit back and watch the ride happen. But then I also said to myself, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it until I feel like I got a really good, solid understanding on it. And then I'll try and branch into photos.
Two things. I just, number one, your knowledge of the soil and how to keep a plant healthy, you're not going to have any problems in veg.
Yeah.
You're
going to have more time. It's going to be
100%.
easier.
Your veg is going to be an absolute dream. What you're going to have to worry about is flip time. Just making sure you want to get what you want to get out of that plant.
Right. And that's where I felt like if I had to make that choice, that there was much more risk, and there was more consequence to a failure, or not making the right decision. I guess it's probably the better term than saying failure. Whereas I was like, okay, if I just do everything right, this fucking thing will do its thing, and I'll get a good solid flower out of it.
The easiest thing to fall back on is just make sure the plant's healthy. If you flip a healthy plant, you're pretty much done.
That's it. Yeah.
Drives me nuts seeing people do that. Like, they're showing all these deficiencies and like, oh, I just flipped today. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Now,
like, what do you expect to happen?
There are a couple occasions, I won't go into all of them, where that would be acceptable. Like, holy shit, I'm flipping now because shit's about to go down and I'm trying to get something out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just get the plant healthy and then flip, and your life is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You do not want to be fighting that stuff as they're growing up and going.
No, you just
not in flower. Nope.
No.
Like,
I think
the prime example is that when Hella Jelly took a shit during my electrical issue. I could have fucking just gone, you know what? I'm just going to fucking flip her. She's already going into flower. But it was like, had I fucking done that, guess what? I'd have lost the whole fucking thing to spider mites or bud rot. You know what I mean? It's like, she's not that far along. I'd rather see the stress of the re-veg after fucking 2 weeks of flower or whatever. You know what I mean? Rather see the re-veg stress her the fuck out than losing her to trying to fucking put her through flower at that point. That would have been, you know what I mean? I wouldn't call that intuition. I call it just, I don't know. Good choices based on the plant's needs.
Intuition. You trusted your gut, and I think that's the key to it, right? And I think that's where I was going. Is like, with autoflowers, there's a time frame. It's going to happen, and you're going to see things pretty quickly and clearly. Either it's stunted, it's not going to get tall enough. It went into flower, and now it's really too small. Or you're going to see these deficiencies, and the reality is you've got about a 50 or 60% chance you can solve them in time. And so if you're not really ahead of the game, and I think that's just where I learned as a grower was like, as long as I just stayed ahead of the game and stayed well prepared and created all the right environments and all that sort of thing and let the flower do its thing, then the genetics really kind of run through because I had incredibly trusted genetics. But now with photos moving into that realm, it's like it feels like.
Why would you think that's any different? You described everything you're going to do for a photo too. Like it's just you're just not
True.
you get to drive the bus, not be pulled behind.
True.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where I was going.
Like,
I trusted in those genetics because those they made it. Whereas now into this whole nother universe,
you got
where I have much more
your grow.
Yeah,
I have to trust
your
my
environment
intuition.
and your soil. Yeah.
You will find that if you take a perfectly healthy plant of a photo and you flip it into flower, that you do have to stay on top of feeding. Like sometimes with autos, you'll get into flower and they'll stretch, but they sometimes won't stretch very much and they probably won't eat much. Well, if you do a very good canopy, you've got to stay on top of it.
What's nice with photos is during that 3-week stretch, know they're fucking doing it, man. Yeah. For 3 weeks, they're going to be fucking extra thirsty and extra hungry. And because you set the fucking trigger.
Do you know what's funny?
Them. You're going to see it happen. Like, oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to feed. I need to fucking top dress before that, or I need to fucking make sure the waterings are on point.
The good news about all of this is you will only make the mistake generally once because you'll go, I should have fucking top dressed way sooner.
You know what's funny is hence
the one small tent that I'm working. Yes.
Almost every auto I've grown, I have not been able to keep it fed enough during its stretch. I always run into like calcium problems and stuff. Like I always run into those like essential nutrients that it's utilizing during the stretch. I have never once, not even my first photo grow, gotten through stretch of a photo with a deficiency. Like I don't get why autos like you think it's natural to you and you understand it, you go with it, you know how to adapt to it. I am a dumbass when it comes to that stage in an autoflower's life. I'm just waiting for it. It's like once I get past the stunting stage, then I'm like, oh shit, guess what? This is going to go to become a shit show. And every single one of my autos starts throwing up all sorts of deficiencies. Every one of them.
I don't think there is a man that I know who can grow such beautiful fucking plants and complain so fucking much. You have literally grown beautiful plants. You've grown monsters that have filled an entire 3x3. You have grown 2 monsters in a new system entirely that were gorgeous. And yet you're like, man, I gotta worry about that calcium. Really, it didn't fucking show. And you still have harvest.
I was just gonna ask, I was gonna ask how that big bed went for your autos, because I do not have success with auto flowers in my big bed. I think I always just fucking have rich soil.
No, so I did run into a problem. Like I think I got extremely lucky and caught them at the right time. And you told me to get the bed wetter, and then I was giving it some foliar or some sprays of, I forget even what I was using, to help them out. And like I think your tips for dealing with it helped. But I was right on the cusp of having 2 very stunted plants. They were just nothing.
Like crazy.
It worked out really well once I gave the bed more moisture. Like if I do pots, I keep them at, like the EcoWord will tell you, like 30 to 35% is usually where I've always kept them. And that's why I was keeping the bed. I was treating it as a 23-gallon pot, and it does not behave that way. And it's so different. And once Johnny's like, you need it up to like 40 or 45%. I was like, okay, did it. And that's it. They just like, oh yeah, that's what we wanted. Like,
yeah, dude. I keep mine at that. If they go any fucking longer than that, they fucking.
honestly, what I think it happens, especially watching this season of Build a Soil, he's running one of the buried EcoWit sensors like halfway down in the bed, and then he's running the ones that we all run at the top. And what he's noticing is the top kind of stays kind of consistent, but he's watching the bottom one drop. So it is not an equal representation through even what is height-wise the same bed. It is not behaving that way.
Yep. That is the only thing I regret about my big beds is I didn't put something to have some fucking runoffs, some sort of runoffs. Every once in a while, I know I got that fucker saturated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like knowing that it's especially with the EcoWits on top. But sorry, we keep saying EcoWits. They're moisture reading sensors. So we are getting a percentage of moisture, and we're talking like 45% based off this metal moisture sensor that's stuck in the ground. If you keep that, I was wondering that, man. I was
I think the bottom is
wondering
drying out too much, and I think it was just like they're trying to seek out water, and the top already was not where it should have been. It should have been more moist than that. But the bottom, I think, just ran dry, and they're just like scrambling, looking for shit that's not there. And
that could be huge with what I have going on, because it seems like every time I start my autoflowers, that bed has been a couple weeks down.
Yep.
Right. Without watering, the lights just turned on, the fans are running and shit. I haven't watered it because there's been nothing in it for the most part. And then I water it a couple days beforehand, but there's zero chance I was watering it in a tent that fucking leaks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would suck.
Have you ever heard of the process? And I remembered hearing about it in big beds. I think it was like an old Shangolos from a long time ago, but there was like a layering process of different strata of like materials like sand and gravel and that sort of thing there was a proponent.
Similar to Hugel culture?
Tell me more, because it's not the name.
So Hugel culture, for a raised bed, it's called Hugel culture, but they take a bunch of fucking logs, sticks and shit and bury that in the first bit about them, and then they fill it up with
this was more like literally trying to recreate in a large bed the strata that you would find in
your backyard. So you
get
your
because
topsoil layer.
And the reason that I was saying with that is because that there are different layers of gravel and sand that allow water to penetrate deeper into the soil. And so what I was thinking is, if you've got just 3-4 feet of just dirt soil, if there were some sort of layering compaction that was going on in between there that would allow moisture to be a little bit more equalized. I mean, it's a total random theory and thought, but when you mentioned that he's got a buried sensor and there's a sensor on the top, it makes total sense that you would struggle with autoflowers because they're reaching down and they don't have that water in the lower area, and so that they automatically kick over the floor. That makes a lot of sense, fellas.
It is now.
And I can't remember the name of this, but I'll try and go digging for it. But it was literally like, start the bottom layer, and it was meant for large beds. And I think this person, he was either a scientist or something, was in the cannabis industry, and was this was for large outdoor pots. And it was about like layers of sand and rocks and gravels that were layered in a certain way, and the intention of it was that it got water to get more equally distributed, and filtered water as well to clean things, to get down to some of those deeper roots. And it was a pretty fascinating process, but putting all that together, that's pretty interesting.
I'll tell you what,
theory, total. I'm not trying to, but just
I follow Johnny's water percentages for these 2 photo beds, and they're doing just fine. So that is the key. Like now I've kind of recalibrated, like, with my beds, what this percentage should be, and makes total sense now. So I can't wait. I'm going to be spinning up that 2x4 again very soon. I got some Malabrije stuff to pop, so we're going to give it another run.
Hell yeah,
I think we're going to be, when we talk about that next, I think we'll be in the same boat. I'm very excited. Stoney, my dearest friend, you have gone months without posting, and finally, like manna from heaven, you post pictures. Please educate us to what is going on in your wonderful domain.
Well, I mean, I guess the good little bridge to talk about around it is the little photo tent that I've got, the blueberry OJs. from joint custody. So that's my little 2x4.
Howling is so
And
excited it hurts me.
and I got a full-sized earth box in there, so I'm really pumped about that. And I popped 4 of them, so really stoked. One of them came out, and this is completely I actually ended up excavating down to make sure I wasn't seeing this, but it split, so it's like a Siamese twin. So the first the sprout came out, and then from kind of the base of it, another one started to come out and created its own cotyledons and everything. So
You were stoned and you planted 2 seeds.
I swear
Just
I
own
was
up
not.
to
I
it.
totally fucking was, but that's why I went excavating with this thing. And the only thing that I had a little bit more confidence is based on these last conversations with photos. Like, if I fuck this up, I'll fix it, right?
See,
So
I have
I'm
the
like,
exact opposite problem is that it doesn't sprout, and 6 days later I'm looking for it. I'm like, oh, I don't think the seed ever made it in there.
I
well,
have,
one of them ended up on the fucking side of the pot. I have no idea how that
I've
happened.
watched it. No, I've watched it. Rev had this happen where I think he was like, oh, I didn't get the seed in the hole. And like he had the next day or something, he had to go fix it. I had it happen once. And I was like, what the fuck? I witnessed it happen in a second time where it's just something with, I don't know, like, I don't know if it's gases escaping or something. I watched after I watered it in and just gave it a nice little drizzle. I watched the seed slowly make its way up over the
Really?
course of like 10 minutes. So, no,
okay. Well, I feel vindicated because I was like,
I remember
know
you
I'm
telling
an
us
idiot
that story.
stoner. I know that often if something goes wrong, it's my fault. It's just assumed, right? So when I find a seed on the surface, days later I go, well, I'm a fucking idiot, right? But
Yeah.
I feel slightly vindicated because at least Howling had it happen to him, so I'm
Yep.
not totally insane.
I thought I was having a stoner moment until I actually witnessed it happening. So what do you do with that seed? What do you do with that plant now? Like, do you just take one and cut it off, or like?
I'm gonna grow it. I'm just gonna see what
Yeah.
happens.
There you go.
I'm gonna see if it'll turn into one of the females. So
That's
I have
awesome.
three that I popped into the earth box, and then I'm gonna keep the 4th just off to the side. And it's in a quart for now, but it's got enough room.
So then you're gonna sex test them, and then just call them. Okay. What
Yes.
happens if you end up with all 3 females? What are you doing?
Then I'll be making my selection as to the one, because I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to push myself. I mean, I'm going to be doing a lot of learning on this one, so I'm just wanted to do one and just get it right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You're not ready to keep a mom?
no, like I'm just dabbling. I'm doing a little bit of light photo period on this one. So
There you go.
What a
Get your
great
feet
one
wet.
to do it with. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So
we were talking about this earlier, and it fucking reminded me. My first plant was a photo period. The first plant I harvested was an autoflower.
that makes sense.
Yes.
That
I
makes a lot of
dove
sense.
into it. I dove into it,
You
and
did a
I
Howling
planted
and Johnny, yeah.
photo period, and I was having such bad luck, and I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I took her from my dad's house as I was set up to grow an autoflower. So I had 2 started at his house during our first grow. And then I got addicted to wanting to grow. So there was no longer, I was growing with
There
my
you
dad.
go.
I was having my own fucking setup. So I came over here and I was set up for, I think, autoflowers or something. I don't know. But yeah, I had harvested like 3 or 4 autoflowers from what I can recall before I even harvested my first photo period.
That's very funny. All this talk about first seeds and stuff like that. Recently, a deer person asked me the question regarding when I first started growing. So I reached out to my friend from high school to try and figure out if he knew aroundish the date, what year, right? And so it was the summer between 2003, 2004. So it was just turned 2003, and then that summer, and then all of life got in the way, and it wasn't ever consistent. But we were laughing, and I was trying to figure out what was the first seed and what plant. Neither of us have any idea, unfortunately. But that was interesting.
Yeah.
I legit think he was in touch with some form people. So I think he actually knew specifically. It was there was strawberry and some of it somewhere. I can't remember exactly. I mean, it was fucking 21 years ago. So
Yeah.
I can barely remember, but shout out Zane. Anywho, yeah.
No, but
so
Stoney, you
mine
were
the
saying,
photo.
yeah, you were saying about one plant, and it made me think about, oh yeah, so you're going to take your time with it, and that's basically what I ended up doing with my photo period. Just playing around and learning, because I had the autoflowers going. So
I mean, technically, I did one photo period bonsai, and I had used that thing, and I can't believe that I actually got smoke out of it that came out good. I mean, so this isn't technically my very first. This is my first real attempt at doing it properly. The bonsai was a complete experiment. Like, it sat on 24-hour light for, I think, a good 30 days. It never got quite fully flipped. I'm sure that there were light leaks in there. The humidifier light was on in there. I had it growing with another auto. Like, it was just a disaster, right? Was what it was, but it gave me some confidence in, okay, maybe I can give this a go. That's why I scooped the earth box. I did also get the AC, the humidifier, the little 4.5 liter humidifier, and hooked that up for it, because the one that I had in there before was the level it, and I don't want any light leaks in this one at all.
Lavoit,
So,
by the way.
whatever you want to call it. Level it.
I used to say it too. I was like, what the fuck is this level it? Humidifier.
Lavoit?
The only reason I knew that is because I watched the video on it and how to operate because I got one with the fucking touchscreen or whatever that you can connect to the phone, and I was watching a video on how to fucking use the goddamn thing, and they call it Lavoit.
Fuck it, I'm calling it level it.
Levitt sounds like it's a Polish fucking humidifier.
True. I love them for autos, and and keeping it in my tent is great, and the size for it, and it does, like, I love it. I really speak quite highly for it. But in the little 2x4, I don't want to have room in there with the earth box.
Yeah, you do.
I don't want to have the room. I mean, I've got it off to the side. I could do it off to the side.
That's what I do with one earth box and a 2x4 with a Lavoit. That's all I have in the bottom of my tent.
Yeah. So wanted to.
But he doesn't want to do it, Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're put that in there. Fucker.
What are you going to use for humidity then?
Well, that's what
he's getting ready to tell you.
It's the humidifier. I got the ACI humidifier, the one that has the tube that runs up into the top of the tent, or wherever.
Oh, you're gonna love that.
Nope.
Till you don't.
Yeah,
those fucking tubes are useless. They sit there and drip back in and make a fucking mess.
So much water. I use, however, I will say, if you when you try and do it from outside of the tent in, it's usually a fucking nightmare.
Really?
But what I use, like a reptile fogger, in my tents, and I just stick the hose and I run that straight up, because you can't kink it or anything, right? You just run it straight up, and that usually just shoots it. And I usually somewhere close to where my fan is, so, like, not directly in front of it, but opposing it, so it doesn't get too bad. But that thing kicks ass. Like, my humidity, I can get my humidity up fucking no problem.
It's a reptile,
but in the tent, it's just like a humidifier with a hose attached to it.
Yeah, I think that's what I was looking for.
I think you're gonna put that in the tent.
You're gonna want to put it in.
Yeah,
it's so much easier. Trust me.
Okay.
I fought it because I wanted this. You know me. I'm trying to get as much bullshit into my tents as humanly possible, because I'm not maxed out on anything but electricity, right? So I got, that's my only limitation. And I was like, I got to get this outside of the tent. I could fit a couple fucking solo caps or a small pot here and have some fun. And I fought it for, 10, 15, 20 days on 3 separate occasions, because I kept forgetting or going, that one didn't work, and I fucked around. I'd go to the shop, try and make things that would make it work, and stick a rod down there to try and keep. No, it doesn't. Just a nightmare.
Nothing.
You end up going through water so much faster too.
Well, I mean, lesson learned, I guess, in that one.
No, still do it. You might have better success with this model. I have only tried with my reptile foggers. Yeah. So you might have a better success. I don't ever want to discourage you from trying something and succeeding, because I failed, because I fail at most everything.
One of the things that I like about it is it's got, and I just got it kind of set up, but it does have, the auto mode. It's got the on mode, the auto mode, but then it's also got a VPD mode. so you can
that's
set
cool.
it to the actual VPD that you're looking
really
for,
cool.
and it
I
will
should
find
make
them
note
all.
though. I did say to use the reptile fogger. I have it hooked up to an Inkbird so that it is automated. I don't just run it
Yeah.
at full blast and be like, "Oh, fucking see what happens." It is hooked up to sensors. I have to be up clear because
It looks like the
otherwise
Rainforest Cafe when you walk into your garage.
Why did I get bud rot? I mean, fucking humidity was at 99 through dry, dumbass. But yes, I'm excited about you. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Oh no, man. So that little tent is starting to get dialed in a little bit more to just kind of see what happens with the photos. The big tent is the one I think is probably the most exciting because it's all the autos that are going in there and a full lineup on this one. I've got Compound V in there, Smoky Stash is in there. I've got the Guava Punch from Goat Genetics. And then I've got the FF4 for Big Green Guy. And then I've got the Calabreño Funk by Juicy Quanye going for Olabrihe.
Quain, Juicy Quain, because it
Quain
because it has it's Bubblegum Queen by Juicy Ahaloro.
Delight, simply delightful. Can't wait for it, man. And then I've got like solo cups going because I did start 2 for everyone, just to make sure I had good success in it. And so I got to load up some bonsai pots this weekend. And then I think I'm going to actually run one in a solo cup because I've never done a solo cup before. So see how long it'll last before I've got one in there that's got a good amount of soil, and I've got them in the little like collar things, and I do 2 cups. So a couple bonsais will get planted on this weekend and they get tucked in the back.
Fuck the solo cups. Let's say fuck the solo cups. Let's start a new fucking trend. Mason jar. Let's figure out how to drill a couple holes in the bottom of a mason jar.
Time out. I am much more likely to break a mason jar than I am a solo cup.
Even with holes in it.
Yeah, especially with holes in it. What's the key to drilling in glass is just make sure it's really fucking lubricated, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that?
Well, I think
I don't fucking with that.
Like with the bonsai for Forgetful, for the next grow along, I'm going to do a bonsai, and I'm going to try and challenge myself to keep a pretty small, and because I've got one idea going so far, and I got it, and I took a look at it, and it's like less than soil.
There are some impressive pots for that frog grow along. Grow Me Dust has some fucking amazing frog pots. I know a bunch of people are doing stuff, so I'm very much enjoy the creativity of our community. It really puts Howling to shame.
He's got that reptile fogger going in right now, doesn't he, Howler?
Yeah.
Okay. Pouring it all in.
I have never had reptiles, right? I don't care for them personally if it's for pets or anything like that. But I was unaware that reptiles needed to be fogged. I thought that would be more of an amphibian thing.
They need to be humid.
Yeah.
I suppose that's true.
Or maybe it's just a spoil. So, and on all the pots, I got all I did stone coverage on this one. Last time I didn't do anything, and I noticed some difference in watering and drying and on the top of the surface and being able to get more. So I did a good heavy coverage on all of them with my little kind of, I guess they're a little bit bigger than gravel, but it's not actual gravel. They're kind of river stones. And then I did Big Green Guy's pot. I thought, as much as the guy loves rambling around the mountains like I do, I took my collection of my good stones that have almost all of them came out of rivers, probably from the Front Range, and so he's got his own little rock garden going in his pot. So, but all of them have fully stoned pots and all sorts of goodies going. Right now it's just water. I did mix up a big 5-gallon bucket of, I guess, quote unquote, their first potion. It's got a little SLF 100 in it. That's about it right now because I just started to notice a couple little flies starting to pop around. I've been using the it's like just a little plastic chafing sprayer. It's like, it's not the big heavy metal one, but I've been using it up until probably in the next day or so. I'll switch over to actually using a watering can to start adding some real water into them. But just got tired of I went ahead and pH the water on this one and get started on these things. But the guava punch has definitely stepped out ahead so far, and I think it's going to be tall and lean and beautiful. So I'm pretty excited about this round, man. Lots of good stuff going on. I'm really excited about the photo periods and just getting into this garden. I mean, this will be harvested like midsummer, so it'll be blazing hot. At least I can't wait. It's gonna be a fun one.
I've never.
What are you gonna? Are you first of all, if you're gonna harvest in midsummer, are you thinking about your dry most of all right now? Then
yeah, but my so like
I was gonna say, I've never heard anyone that excited to harvest in the middle of summer.
Yeah,
well,
but
so
righteous.
My house has a built-in humidifier and dehumidifier, and so my house just runs at a 60%.
That's
so, and I just ride air conditioning. So if it's 70 up here on the main level, it can get as cold as 67 downstairs, sometimes 66. And I just that's my goal temperature. I don't run air conditioning or anything, but last year, even in all the heat of the summer and even late summer, like into August, I'm trying to remember when it was, but I remember it was bloody humid out, not inside here. So it's one of the definite perks of moving into this place was that maintains a 60%, even during the wintertime too. Same thing, like it's built-in humidifier too. So
as someone who is quite literally paying to run his portable AC currently in his dry tent, it is
dude.
Very frustrating. I got I upgrade. I'm going to steal the topic temporarily because it piggybacks off of that. But I upgraded my 2x3 tent with a 2x4 tent. So my Alabrije dedicated tent's now bigger. I can run one more plant, right? I'm going to have to make my own planter. I've got all that's for future shit. But I'm running the portable AC out in the garage as I'm setting this up in limited space. And it is frustrating me to no end because all I can hear is fucking money printing and I'm getting angrier and angrier. And Megan's like, why don't you just not run it? And I was like, that would be even worse. So I had to step away and I do it in increments now, so I'm not so angry at myself.
Yeah. I mean, I won't call it too much of a perk, but
that's a fantastic perk. But I will say it's worth the drive to do it right.
Yeah.
Because if you don't rush, I spend so much time waiting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ruin it by just fucking it up.
No, and unfortunately, I don't fall victim too far to bud rot. So I think some of it is, I don't push my humidity as far in flowering as I probably could. I don't push the temperatures in the room as far as I could. I think that kind of left over from the perpetual grow because I kept everything real even keeled and it got to a really good spot. So this round I'm going to be really trying to push more temperature and just get more airflow moving around, and it should be interesting. Could be pushing some boundaries on this one for sure. To see where it takes me. Quality is where I'm going. It's not volume. That's never been my purpose for it. It's really about the quality. But I'm now, I think, kind of just like looking at the flower itself is more of the quality rather than just the smoke. So it's the evolution, man. It's an evolution. But I love this garden right now. I'm getting stoked. Getting stoked for it.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love when you get to spend time in your fucking garden and you're happy to fucking be there.
Yeah. I'm shifting, because I want to be outside when it's sunny and gorgeous. I got enough of garden work to do outside and yard work to do outside. And so shifting my time now where I'm either in the morning, like before it gets too far into the day, or in the evening times, late evening times, I'm trying to get down there and do some work. So, but the more I can get in there, the better. It always does me good. Always does me good in there.
What are you going to run your lights at night or during the day?
I've always been during the day because I turn the lights off when I'm sleeping because, I'm down there throughout the day and I don't want to not go in there because it's dark. I've had that happen. So It pretty much.
Do you guys have prime time when they charge you more to use power?
I'm sure we do. I'm sure we do.
So what I've found is I strictly do it for the tent manageability. It's around my area. It's fucking when it's darker at night in the summertime, it's cooler. So it makes sense to run your lights at there. So your air conditioning is running less.
Yep.
And the same thing in the wintertime. You know, it's your lights being on when it's cooler outside helps heat up, so you don't have to run your heater as much.
Yeah.
The sunlight actually helps you in the wintertime. That's the only reason I run my lights at night. So I run
I would
from 4 to 4.
I would totally
4
run my
p.m.
lights
on.
Yeah, I would run my lights almost opposite of the sun here because of fighting humidity and stuff.
Yeah.
However, 4 to 9 is like triple time charges, so that's my light off period.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have that. I don't think we have that sort of throttling. We may get charged a little bit different, but it's kind of like, gets washed out in the aggregate of it. Temperature, I mean, I've got that thing down in the basement. It's a pretty good size down there, and it's cement walls. So I mean, it doesn't really heat up in there. And with that bar lights, the ROI 420. I actually use it to the advantage. Like I don't have a heater in the small one because I've got the medic grow in there, and I don't even need heater in there. It's holding a nice temperature, and I'm like, it's gonna be cool now, but I'm actually a little nervous about it once we get a little bit further down. There's a lot more plant matter in there, but I don't really have too much like thermal regulation issues with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas like, folks that have them like in their rooms or upstairs or smaller confined rooms that have all that heat with no ventilation and air movement around it. And plus all my HVAC is down there too. So it's got some intake valves. And so it's really pumping and pulling. I'm fortunate of it, man. And I'm fortunate. And I know with it, and I know some people struggle just having it in their basement because it's just not a lot of air movement and they get moisture lock happening down there. So it's the conditions, and maybe I don't give myself enough credit for intuition, and I just call it fortune, or that I just don't have to fucking pay attention to it. But I see a lot of other, like I hear your stories, Rev, and thinking about like I feel fortunate. I don't have to worry about my electric bill between 4 and 9, or worry about a brownout where they just go ahead and cut the fucking power out for a while. Fuck that. I mean, I lived in it when I was in San Francisco, but we never really had, not to this extent. It was like I was at work anyways. Fuck it.
It's an interesting thing. The whole system is so backwards. Like they keep burning down the state and then finding a way to pass that on to the consumer, which is just wonderful. I like being charged for the recovery and the cause. It really closes it, really makes it feel like a nice family event. But it makes sense, right? The power grid can't handle it. Charge everybody for using it when most people use it. But it does really because there are times like I wish I could run 20 lights 24/7, but the amount that it charges might be like I'm already paying $400 a month without running during prime time, man. So I don't want to pay more.
Cheapers, dude. Yeah.
That's why I said like space is so important to me because I need to maximize every square inch, and I generally don't. I do a pretty poor job because I'm super busy too, right? So it's like an interesting toss-up. But I'm married to my power consumption because there's nothing I can do to increase it that won't end with Megan leaving me or walking over and cutting cords, right? So it is very tough being tied to that. So that's why I got to maximize things, and that's why ultimately getting the bigger tent was the right decision.
Yeah, for sure, man. I miss my big tent. I love my 5x5. I really do. It's a great size for it, especially with the amount of flowers that I get in there. But man, I miss that 5x9. I look forward to the opportunity to put that thing back up sometime, somewhere. Won't even fit in this basement, but you never know. Never know.
Bedroom.
Well,
sorry, kids. Listen, the couch is really comfortable. Just listen.
You don't need it.
I contemplated the garage because I've got like a 2.5 car garage. What's like 2 and then like a little workshop so it's quite deep. I contemplated putting it in there, but the thermal regulation is one of the things that would be so much of a hassle. Although
The
there is a
only
gas
way I
heater in
can,
there.
yeah, the only way I can grow in a garage in my current setup is because I live in Southern California. If I had any extreme weather, I would be literally fucked. Like if it was like cold, if it froze outside, I'd be like, well, apocalypse, I lost my crop. That's
Yeah.
fine. Like,
Yeah.
world's ended, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting, but I think that's a good time to ask my random ass
Yeah, man.
circle question. So I was gonna go a couple different ways, but this one's gonna be a bit open, and I'll start with Stoney, maybe because it's food related.
Okay.
But is there anything that you would like to try that you haven't? I was thinking drink or food related, but dining experience, I guess, will be acceptable because I imagine Stoney's run out of things that he hasn't tried that he wants to try.
Oh man, of course you catch me on my ADHD because there's probably 1,000 things that I'd still love to try, and probably a million different experiences that I'd love to.
Of course. It's never
Yeah,
always the definite answer. I have to remind people because my answer to this would quite depend, of course, on the day. So it's just the first thing that comes to your mind.
yeah. So I've had this notion. Someone dropped this idea of those those igloos that are up and you can see the northern lights, but they're like clear domes. Like I would love to do like a meal cooked in one of those, just on a little stove top in there and just underneath the northern lights. So probably more of an experience.
Be cool.
Because I'd love to just kind of cook and be in that sort of environment where you're locked in out of nowhere, cooking some
That's
sort
awesome.
of weird, like, way up northern delicacy. So I don't even like, there has to be something up there that would be really fucking cool to like take and watch the northern lights with. So someday I'll find
Right
a
on.
way to get
There
there.
you go.
I gotta have to
Really
cook for
cool.
somebody there too. So that'll be the best
There
part.
you go. I volunteer. Although it'd probably be more romantic if I wasn't there, but
We can
we'll figure
snuggle,
it out.
dude. I mean, it
Yeah.
might get cold in there.
Hey man, I'm equal opportunity. Johnny, what about you?
I want a fresh pineapple grown like from and ripened in off the fucking tree. You know what I mean?
Okay,
That's something
that's
I
a solid one.
actually want to be able to try.
Like hear it
Because I know what
crunching.
it's like to eat a fresh fucking strawberry on a fucking hot June afternoon. It's the most wonderful fucking in the world. So I can't imagine a pineapple being any worse.
Yeah, like in tropical environment, like hot, warm, sunny, late afternoon,
Yeah, just a
dripping
nice
with syrupy
fucking
sweet.
crack that thing with a fucking knife and slice her up nice and warm still from
Yeah,
the fucking
dude.
sun.
Yeah.
Just,
What a wonderful answer, Johnny.
Now I'm fucking
I
hungry,
like
man.
that. Yeah, Howling. What about you, my friend?
I have like two things. I can't decide which would be the one I would, if I was given like a golden ticket to do first. There is a person in Texas, I think it is. Her name's Tootsie. She does she's like 90 years old doing wood-fired barbecue, like the Aaron Franklin type stuff. Like, and she runs these big pits, and she's like 90 years old still doing it. And like, I want to try some of this. Like, you want to talk like just someone that has their craft down, and like people wait in lines for this. And I forget, it was like one of those stupid cooking shows where like it was a barbecue cooking show where they went around to different famous people that do barbecue, and it's like she was one of them. I'm like, this is badass. She is just raking up coals and stuff and getting these pits going, and it's like just fucking awesome. Or I would like to go to Italy and have a bolognese, an authentic bolognese. With
choice.
Fresh made noodle. Like I want that authentic experience.
Hey man, you want to go to Tootsie's? Tell me, we'll ride, bro.
Right,
we'll ride deep. Dude.
Quick trip down to Texas.
Yeah, man, I would definitely go for that. Is she the one that has the ones in a small town, out in the middle of nowhere? And I think maybe like her second or third generation is now taking it over.
I'm not sure.
School Okay, because there's one I think I remember. It might not have been Tootsie's, but yeah, those character ones are absolutely the best places that I've ever been. When you get back into those pit masters, and those old Texas pits, man, like just the way
You're
that it's
fucking
done.
mopping. When you fucking mop it, it's like, what, man?
Oh, you know what? You are right.
Yeah,
I just had to
dude.
look it up. It's the town is 1.2 square miles.
That's it,
how-
buddy.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing that show, man. Yeah, and she's been doing it forever, like
Yep.
forever.
I bet you the
She's
local,
always been the one doing it, and like she
Mhm.
like works such like she gets there at like 3 a.m. to start getting it going, and yeah,
Mhm.
I
then
wonder
you're
if-
just slaving over that all day long. It's
Mhm.
that's a hard job, and then she's
Yeah.
90 on top of it. Like amazing.
Yeah, and I've gotten to work with some pit masters and gotten into some conversations because I got the gift of gab, and in Texas, those pit masters are just out there doing their job, and like a lot of the picnic tables and that sort of stuff where you're eating are right out there by the pit, so you can go up to them oftentimes and start talking to them. When you strike up conversations, it gets you thinking about them working 12 hours a day, breathing in all that heavy soot smoke and those conditions, that heat and all that sort of stuff. Like those people are smoked.
Yeah, dude.
They are fucking literally smoked, dude. Like they got that fucking permanent grill tan, right? And if you work in kitchens, the grill cook, he's got a grill tan. You see him every fucking night. You can pick a grill cook out. Same thing. Like they are just like smoked, and their skin is leathered from the heat. Because it's a craft that they've done for a long time, that they value and appreciate doing one thing properly over and over to perfection. Like that's the sort of shit. So I mean, as much as I'd love to go to Italy with you, brother, I'd given choice it to you, I'd go barber crawling with you any day, any fucking day.
That's it. YAG meetup, Texas.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
Fuck
I
yeah.
don't think I
Eh.
will be stepping foot in Texas personally. I don't want to get
We'll
arrested
drag
in
you, dude.
Texas.
We'll drag
What
you.
about you, Padre? What
Yeah,
what
man.
haven't you tried that you would like to try?
Seafood in
first
the
one that
desert.
Yeah, I really fucking can't talk enough about that. I don't even. Anyhow, the first one that came to mind is one of those fancy, just any fancy restaurant that would finally let me in would be a plus. But no, those fancy like science gastro fucking
Like a
type
linea.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know but I've always seen them on like the Food Network. That
Mhm.
I would love to try something like that, but not have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because I would just like the free
gastronomy.
reign. Yeah, and be able to be honest and just be like, I don't get this and this sucked. Like I would just like to have free reign to try it because I think it would be really cool and interesting, but I would hate to have spent the money and have to like it, have to
Yeah.
find like I want to be able to just be like, nope, that was dumb and didn't work. Like and move on,
One of the things that I try and give as an analogy for people that are looking for that sort of level of dining or that style of dining, because it's incredible. I've had a handful of experiences that are, Alinea being one of them. They're incredible experiences, but the way that I kind of frame them to most people is it's like a night at the theater or going to a theater performance. There is going to be parts of the act that you really like, and there's going to be parts that you're like, this is fucking boring, or what the fuck am I doing here? This is just downright dumb. And that's really hard for people to take that ride for the exact reason of like, I think when I went, and this was a while back, we did the 20 course and we did the wine pairings, and it was me and my sommelier, and I think it was 800-900 a person, almost 1,000 a person. By the time we folded gratuity and everything into it, it's an experience. I liken it the same way that someone would go to a Broadway show, right?
Okay.
If you fly all the way to New York because you're a huge Broadway fan, go to Broadway. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna do it, go to Broadway. Don't go to some off Broadway. Don't go all the way to New York and go to an off Broadway show.
Totally.
They're incredible, but if you've never been and you want that experience, go Broadway, right?
Yeah, I've always been intrigued by it because, like, like I said, it's I don't know how much of it is people acting because of I just spent $700. I better
Yeah.
fucking like some aspect of it, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine you get full regardless. So
Yeah, I
it
mean,
would
like
be
my best experience was Charlie Trotter,
okay.
and it was there that, like, to your point, where like the level of service was to the point that there were pieces of tape that were double-sided masking tape that were cut so that they would fit the bottom of your shoe. And so if there was a crumb that was on the floor, you were not meant to pick the crumb up. You were to go and get a piece of this tape and put it on your shoe, and you walk over and you step on the crumb.
Wow.
When I went to the bathroom, I was ushered by 3 different people, and the third person went into the bathroom to visually inspect it to make sure everything was good for me before I walked in the door.
Jesus.
That was a little
Okay.
awkward. That
I
was a
was gonna
little
say,
awkward.
I don't know if I want that kind of level of service. I would just look at him and be like,
But
"Fuck off, I'm done." Out the door.
that was kind of
I
the
mean,
point
if
of
I'm
it.
going to pay $1,000 for a meal, you're goddamn right. If I got to take a fucking shit, the toilet better not have some fucking turds on the fucking
Yeah.
bowl. I'll tell you that.
Well,
That was their
okay.
point.
I think there's a difference between shit marks on a toilet and a dude basically touching your junk for you while you pee.
There's a spectrum. There's a
Yeah,
spectrum.
there's a little bit of a spectrum.
He didn't
I
check
think
your
as long-
junk for you to make sure it was good.
He
He was
might as
checking
well
the
have.
shitter.
By the third, come on, by the third time, like, all right, brother. You know what, too? And there are times in my life, thankfully not much anymore, but where I would have been rushing to that bathroom if some dude was like, I got to visually inspect. I'd be like, you get the fuck out the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little awkward, I gotta say that. But the example of it is like to your
Yeah,
point,
it's
man. If you are paying that
phenomenal.
much
Yeah.
money, right, you're gonna get that full experience. But some of it is just like a play, and it's really playful and it's fun and to have things in different experiences and tastes and textures.
Totally.
They're really cool experiences, and you kind of have to take the ride. Like I always talk about Grant and Alinea served a blue cheese course to me where it was blue cheese consomme, like the absolute repulsion of everything. But I ate the whole
This
course.
episode is sponsored by Blue Cheese.
See, it's making me
I'm
gurgle
down with
just
blue
even
cheese.
thinking about it.
I am not down with blue cheese
What?
consomme, bro.
Oh
I love
man,
blue cheese, but not that much.
this was like like when you get blue cheese and it's got that water, that kind of clear, slightly
Oh no,
viscous.
dude. That's
It
not making
takes
it sound more appetizing.
exactly, brother, exactly. But
But
he
you
made
ate
this
it.
like, well, here's where I was going with it because you were talking about the molecular gastronomy. So he took a grape liquid, like he extracted this incredible Gewürztraminer grape and made this liquid, and it was so fucking delicious, right? And he gelled it so that it was like the texture of an egg yolk, right? So it sealed itself on the outside, but it was completely like thick, like the texture of an egg yolk. That was floating in the bottom of the cup, and then he poured this consomme over the top of it. And so you had to take it as a shooter to get it all at once. So you get like this, like
That's the name of
coating
the
in-
episode. Stoney
Yeah.
takes the shooter of blue cheese.
so you get like this,
No,
like
I'm not
viscous.
spending my time making AI art of that. There's no fucking way.
So it just like you get this shot of like the blue cheese consomme liquid, right?
Oh man, you are
Um,
really turning me off of this.
And then this, and
Can we
then
get the plugs before we puke?
and then the grape
I
yolk
kn-
just kind of flows in.
No.
Yeah,
Why
dude.
did you do
And then
that?
the key is like you got to get the yolk in there, and then it bursts in your mouth.
All right, I
So
changed
you
my
get-
answer. What I would really like to have is a homemade enchilada somewhere in Baja.
Dude, I had
Um,
pastor tacos tonight. Any
Johnny,
fucking day, dude.
do you have anything you would like to plug, my friend?
Blue cheese.
Blue
Oh,
cheese.
God, dude.
Stoney, other than consomme, what would you like to plug?
Oh, I don't. I'm still stuck on blue cheese now. I'm gagging.
Okay, Howling, my dear friend, what do you have to
Nothing.
plug?
Nothing.
We are fantastic. I'm gonna follow all of that with I ain't got shit. Adios.
Thanks for
Later.
listening, everybody. Peace.